Hiya, and welcome back to Password. The game that teaches us that, we don't make the best choices. We do not make the best choices. I should have retied my hair. So anyways, let's just hop right in. I'm going to be rearranging these saves soon. What lights were on gave off a soft glow. Ambience more than anything else. Oh, hiya. I wasn't really sure where I was until my eyes adjusted a bit more. A hunched figure sat in a chair against the far wall, lit only from the dull glow from the monitor. But there was that familiar smell again. I thought it escaped from the foyer, but it was here too. Edging forward, I reached out to the hunched figure sitting at the desk. Aw, fuck. Fuck. Oswin is dead. So the only smart person is also dead, and I forgot to turn down my headphone volume. Let me retie my hair real quick. I am going to need hang on, I'm gonna say a quick prayer. Except I'm not. Please, I'm pretty sure the word is sadist. Yeah, I think the word you're looking for there, amethyst, is sadist. Yeah, I think that's the word you're looking for. Because I'm pretty sure masochism is like pleasure from self-harm, whereas sadist likes to give harm. And dragon is... Yeah, thank you, Cats, for explaining it. But when I spun the chair around, it was just as I thought. Oswin has been killed too. The knife was still sticking out of his chest, but everything was dry. He hadn't been killed recently. Either way, he wasn't behind what Sal did. But it was one less person we could rely on for help. I left him there. There was no point in moving him, and to be honest, Roswell and Dean took priority. I could deal with his body later. The fuck did you go? Ty snapped me out of my daze by grabbing me and yelling at me at point blank. The next moment he was hugging me, sighing out and growling at the same time. Nowhere. Sorry, Ty. I could hear the hollow tone in my own voice, a tiredness I had forgotten I was capable of. He grabbed me by the arm and started leading me out of the conservatory and back downstairs. You had me worried. Ty wasn't being gentle, dragging me down the stairs and holding on to me almost as insurance that I wouldn't go walk about. Seriously, why did both of you run off on me? Sorry, I just thought... You shut your mouth and stay where I can keep an eye on you. Hoss, are the cops coming or what? No reception. After I went outside to check, I tried a few times at different spots, but nothing. No signal anywhere. Fuck! The hell are we supposed to do? At this point, we looked over to Orlando, who was starting to stir, panicking himself up slowly off the guard. Wait, was it panicking or picking? Picking himself up. Ugh, what happened? As he was rubbing his head, his eyes caught sight of Dean and Roswell still on the ground a ways, his eyes widening slowly as he came to realize what had happened. Oh, no! No! His cries devolved into wails and sobs as he turned away from the sight. Let's get you outside, huh? He helped Orlando up and the pair of them headed towards the backyard, leaving Tyson and I alone in the foyer. His grip didn't budge, though, and it started to get painful from how he had me pinned in place. Ty... The fuck were you thinking, huh? Wandering off like that! I was trying to... And what if something like fucked up happened to you, huh? You saw what just happened. I know. His voice was lowered to a snarl, gripping me even tighter as he got up in my face. Get your ass into gear. We're going outside. I'm sorry, I forgot how to speak English, apparently. I stole a glance at Dean and Roswell, but found that my eyes were glued to them. Ty's grip loosened off so I could wander closer, but I crossed half the distance before the smell of blood hit me hard and my eyes found its way to the growing pool of blood they lay in. Hey. I didn't respond, taking this all in with some degree of fascination that couldn't have been healthy. If anything, the sight was so surreal that it just didn't seem real to begin with. When Tyson wandered over, he turned me around carefully, easing me away from the scene. Much in the same way that Haas and Orlando had left the foyer, We followed suit into the backyard. All four of us stood just outside the back door, wondering what was to happen next. The air was cold but fresh. If anything, I felt bad for Tyson being only in his underwear, but all of us were in varying levels of undress. Okay, gotta find that fucker and keep these two safe. And find a way to contact the police. Ty's chest was heaving and he was working himself up. I wasn't even sure if it was legitimate anger or fear, or maybe worry spurring his actions. Ty, what do we do? You hang here, and don't fucking wander off again. I'll be back. Wait, no, please don't! He was already heading off towards the pool, looking around as if his head was on a swivel. I might try and find a spot to get some signal. Could have sworn I had one every other day we've been here. You two stick together. Safety in numbers. What about you? What about Tyson? I'm going to go and follow him so he doesn't, stay safe that way, right? Okay. I won't be long. Trust me. And sure enough, with phone in hand, Haas followed after Ty. Fuck. Orlando had sat down on the steps leading down from the back porch, propping himself up with his hands as he massaged his knees. I didn't know what to say, but he had his jaw clenched as the tears ran down his face. Every time he tried to open his eyes, he just stared forward before shutting them tight again a moment later. As we sat there, I stared off into the distance as well, taking it all in. It was a mistake, as the weight of what I'd witnessed firsthand started to sink in. Maybe the shock of it all was finally wearing off. My breath began to quicken, the tightness in my chest doubled down and made my stomach churn. I felt like I was going to be sick all the while hyperventilating. I put my head between my knees, groaning out and covering my head. It was only when I saw him jolt that I lifted my head back up, following his gaze across to someone approaching. Fuck. Sal? Sal, stay the fuck away. Get the fuck away from here! Stay the fuck away, Sal, you Monty Gator wannabe bastard. Get the fuck away from here! You know what? I am going to deal with this. Hang on, let me just... Avada Kedavra! He lumbered closer. He mumbled... Clearly, I don't know how to speak English. He lumbered closer, mumbling something to himself. Even as he stopped before us, he continued mumbling, but for the most part, it just sounded like incoherent noise. Was this it? Were we next? Once again, I found myself frozen as his eyes were settled upon me. And then Orlando, all the while his mouth moved as if he was talking to us, but no sound escaped his mouth. His presence lasted for minutes, maybe hours. It was hard to say with how I was feeling, but sure enough, he continued forward, dragging himself up the steps and lazily heading back inside. When he was gone, Orlando and I stared at one another in shock. A moment later, we were clinging to each other, terrified. Hiya. You two, alright? Tyson kicked the ground, frustrated. Neither Orlando and I answered Haas, huddling together. Still no signal. At this rate, I'll need to run down to the main road and try seeing if there's anyone on the road and try and ask for help. Or even see if there's better reception out that way. We're going down the driveway? When we found Sal, yeah. He was just here. He went inside. That fucker better not have touched you. No, but... So, what's the plan? The plan? Outside of calling the police? Yeah, we making a run for it before he gets us too? We blocking him off somewhere until the cops rock up? No one seemed to have an answer. There were a few shared looks, but overall none of us budged. Where would we go? Is there anywhere we could run to? I eased myself away from Orlando to almost collapse backwards. I wanted to scream. I wanted to lash out at something. All the emotions I was feeling at once was very quickly taking its toll. What do we do? We stood in silence, wondering if there was any other option shy of finding a place we could call the police. Safety in numbers meant that whatever we chose to do, we'd all need to be present. Which was how we found ourselves all heading around the house towards the main road. This fucking sucks. Fucking wandering around in my underwear.
It's time to drink water.
Yeah.
It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water.
Yeah. Ty shivered, the cold starting to get to him. If I had a shirt or something, I'd have offered it, but I was just as naked as he was. Hopefully, we can get somewhere warm soon. He gave me a look and threw an arm over my shoulder. Soon, pup. Can we talk about something real quick? Talk about what? We're all in varying levels of not okay, but does anyone actually know what happened? Sal went fucking nuts, murdered Roswell and Dean. You were there. I mean, why, asshole? Have some tact. As if to punctuate his point, Orlando sniffled and wiped his face. If Haas wasn't guiding him forward by the hand, chances are we'd still be at the mansion. Who the fuck cares? I do. Sal, Haas was worked up and it was interfering with his ability to put his thoughts into words. Why would he kill two of our friends? And why those two friends? Is that what you were wondering? I mean, it's odd, right? There was a pit in my stomach that was making itself known again, and I doubled over. Was it appropriate to throw up, to scream? Haas's question hung in the air for a bit before Orlando answered. It was to protect us, right? It's got to be. What? Thou was kind. He is kind. And nice and sweet, too. He had to have a reason, right? Hang on, let me check something. Yeah. Okay. I need to reorganize my fucking saves. Have a reason, right? While I tried to get my nausea under control, I just let things play out. Let people say what they needed to, and hopefully getting to vent would help. The next moment, the world was rumbling, followed by the sound of an explosion somewhere in the distance. The fuck was that? Yeah, I know, I'm going to fix my saves later. I don't know, is everyone okay? Haas sped a little ways further down the driveway looking around. He didn't say anything, but he looked worried. Eventually, he moved further on and out of sight. He was out of sight before I could ask if he was going to check. And so we waited, Ty huddling close to me on one side with Orlando on the other. Time continued to pass, and as it did, my worry grew. I didn't know how long this driveway was, but eventually... You're back! Despite the relief of seeing Haas again, he looked even more troubled on his return. What happened? The main road, part of it. It's... what? It's gone! I looked between Ty and Orlando confused, but it seemed as though both of them were just as confused as me. It can't just be gone! Where did it go? If I had to guess, that explosion here blew up part of the road along with causing a landslide. Either way, getting over that rubble seems possible, but... We're trapped here? Sounds like it. But fuck that. Come morning, I'll just keep going until we find help. But what until then? Do we return to the mansion? It's cold out here, and I wouldn't mind some pants, but then they're thou. I'm not scared. Fuck, I'll go get your pants if that's all you're after. Where does that leave us? Well, I'm not spending the night outside. I'll sleep in the greenhouse if I need to. But we'll have to go inside at some point, right? And how long will that be? Tomorrow. That doesn't help us right now. And it's dark, plus it's, well... Fine, what if I moved the bodies? You'll move them? Fuck it, I don't care. Having them just there is just... He trailed off, gesturing to the space before him, although the meaning wasn't lost on us. We trekked back the way we came. It was still late and having nothing to show for it. The walk was spent in silence. As the house came into view, our pace slowed, knowing what still awaited us on the other side of the door. I looked at Ty, who seemed reluctant to move, but upon looking at me, he snapped his head forward. He was stiff, marching towards the door and out of sight. And so we waited. Before long he appeared, looking disheveled and bloody, but the deed had been done. The moment I walked in, the smell of blood hit me. My eyes trailed to the floor, seeing the drag marks heading off to an adjoining room. I can't... Everyone else was moving around me, seemingly in a trance as they headed towards the stairs. The smell of blood here was suffocating. My vision was going red and I felt as if I was drowning in the smell, so much so that I could taste it. Orlando reached out and took my hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. Come on. I want to see them. I felt his arm around me in a gentle hug before he broke away a second later. Tomorrow, please. I'll come with you. I just need time to prepare myself. By the time we made it upstairs, Hoss corralled us into a single bedroom, just so we were all in the same room. It might be safer to stick together tonight, for what's left of it at least. Yeah, that makes sense. Tyson handed me a shirt and I threw it on. I didn't even know who it belonged to, but it was better than nothing. Orlando and I watched as Hoss and Ty pushed stuff to block the door off. I could only imagine why. All that was left was to settle in for whatever rest we could get. I looked to Orlando and he took my hand in his. Wordlessly, he guided me over to a corner of the room that the other two weren't occupying. Ty looked like a mess and Hoss was rocking gently back and forth before he eventually just lay down. As for Orlando and I, he lay me down and faced me towards the wall. He cuddled up behind me, almost using his body as a shield from the others in the room and resting his head atop mine. I used his arm as a pillow and quietly sobbed despite no tears coming. I just couldn't manage it, but I wanted the tears to come all the same. Maybe it was everything hitting me at once, but I passed out. While it was only going to be a couple hours of rest, it was all we were going to get. Yeah, it's still day 11. It felt like I was floating. My mind still replaying the events over in my mind still replaying the events over in my mind while I slept. Oh, okay. When I woke up, I was sitting on the sofa in the living room. Dean and Roswell were standing nearby, looking at me expectantly. Upon seeing them, I felt my stomach lurch. Guys? Seemed like Dean went to say something, but when he didn't, Roswell tried. Neither of them were saying anything, instead just looking at me, waiting. I thought you both... When I blinked, I was alone again. My body felt heavy as if chained down, but my feet took me to the kitchen. Be it out of instinct or that it was just the next closest room, I don't know. Dad? He wasn't there. I knew he wouldn't be. I knew he wouldn't, as he, like Dean and Roswell now, wasn't around anymore. But that didn't make the pain in my chest go away. It didn't shake the sick feeling welling up from my stomach. In a flash, it was all gone. The sound of loud banging is what roused me from my sleep, and I looked to the others in the room also waking up. It lasted for all of a second before that confused stupor wore off and we looked to the door with dread. The banging turned into the door rattling, trying to open. What came next was the distressed voice of the person trying to enter, sounding almost frantic. Everyone, where are you? I looked at Ty and he quickly shook his head. Hoss was eyeing the door wary and Orlando had his hands covering his mouth, also watching the door. Soon enough he left, his voice fading away quickly. Shit, he's awake. Shows that the soundproofing exists, though. Could hear him right outside the door, but the chances are he's been searching for a while. What makes you say that? The tone of his voice? He did sound panicked, maybe scared. I don't know. Or he's trying to do us in. Well, we can't stay here forever. We're going to have to leave eventually. I know that. Fuck, just alright. When we're all ready, let's head on out. All of us mentally prepared ourselves before Tyson and Orlando moved the barricade from the door. There was a moment of hesitation from Orlando when he reached out to open the door. When he did, we kept close together. As we reached the stairs and looked down, Sal was huddled on the floor. He was cowering, talking quietly to himself. Quiet enough I couldn't make out what he was saying. The trail of blood from where Dean and Roswell had been dragged off into the adjoining room was unmissable, a stain of red on the tiled floor we were heading towards. Sal must have heard us descend the stairs, standing and turning suddenly to face us. Everyone, there's been... Ty stuck out an arm to stop me advancing, shepherding me behind him almost. Dean and Roswell, they... He took a step forward, and three of us took a step back while Ty remained firm. Why did you... I could hear Ty start to snarl. You fucker! You did this! From behind Tyson, I could see Sal's arms go limp in shock. What? No, Dean and Roswell, I tried to, but... He took a step forward, and Tyson took another step forward as well, his voice raising. You tried to what? I found them this morning, but it was too late. CPR wouldn't be enough, so... He scrambled for his phone in his pocket, pointing to it. I tried calling for help, calling any of you, but no signal. Honestly, seeing you all alive is a relief. It's then I realized he didn't know. He didn't remember what had happened and what role he'd played. The words caught in my throat, but it was Tyson who picked up the slack. Yeah? You're relieved we're alive, huh? You planning on doing us in too? What? Hey, something about this doesn't feel right, Tyson. Maybe back off a little. Fuck that! I'm not letting him kill anyone else! Sal took a step back upon hearing what Ty had said. In fact, his words echoed in the foyer with none of us saying anything. What did you say? I couldn't... He took another step back, his head slowly turning to the stain on the floor he was inches away from. Sal, do you not remember what happened last night? Looking at Haas, he shook his head slowly. He almost seemed stunned by the question. Damn, this is going to be, Who do you think killed those two, huh? Tyson! Haas grabbed Tyson quickly, but just as quickly pulled away when Tyson went to punch him. When he was riled up like this, suddenly grabbing him wasn't a good move. Please, what happened? Last night, Dave, wait. With his attention on me, Tyson took the chance to move away from Haas and approached Sal. His tone was spiteful, and he punctuated his sentence by snarling even more. You wanna know what happened last night, you piece of shit? You stand there all scared and confused, but I don't fucking buy it. You took an axe to the oinker, fucked up Dean with the same axe, and went for a casual walk after. Sal took a step back further, his foot landing in the smear on the floor. He was followed, Tyson increasing his snarl. So those two bodies in there? Yeah! That's all your fucking handiwork! No. No, it can't be. I couldn't have... With a few more steps back, Sal turned tail and ran out the front door and out of sight. Sal, wait! Orlando, buddy, you can't be serious. But... Remember, he killed two of our friends. He's unstable. It's dangerous. I'm sorry, but... Haas gestured in the air, unable to finish his thought with words. What do we do now? We have to be able to do something, right? Go put on clothes before you get cold. Then, we go there from there. So, splitting up? Fuck no, we go together. It's only pants and shirts, right? Together we went upstairs. It was odd, three of us outside while the last one went in to retrieve a piece of clothing. Kept peering over the railing, watching the front door as if expecting Sal to come back. Yeah, Tyson was excessive about it, but we already understand why. I feel like we already understand why Sal did what he did. He was like hypnotized, sleepwalking sort of shit. So what I would do, here's what I would do. And this is my own thing. I would do a season 1 Attack on Titan where we know Sal is dangerous. However, yeah, Tyson doesn't know that. Here's the thing, you would explain it to Tyson, and I feel like Tyson's method of explaining is you just gotta beat the words into him. Here's what you do. Keep Sal, however, because he is clearly unstable and dangerous, at night we keep him in solitary confinement. Like, we confine him to a single room, and we barricade that room. However, if he manages to escape that room, he is dead on sight. Yeah. Together we went upstairs. Yeah, I already read that. I didn't even get to go into my own room as clothes were brought out to me while I was in a daze watching the foyer. Once we were all dressed, we headed down for breakfast. We filed in, keeping watch just in case we were going to get jumped the moment we entered a room. Once we were in the kitchen, we stopped to look at one another. I don't think I'm all that hungry. But we can't just not eat, right? Normally I'd agree, but if we don't try and keep something down, Ty wandered over to the coffee machine and flicked it on before grabbing some bread from the pantry. Here. He held out a slice of bread to me and I gingerly took it, staring at it while I held onto it with both hands. Gotta eat something. I'll get coffee going. But why? Dave, take the damn bread and eat it. Pushy much? He's just in shock, so ease off. I don't think that's it, is it? What? You do love him? Is that why? The fuck? I feel like in this point... I feel like at this point, with the state Sal was in, probably if they wanted to handle Sal right in that moment, I think their best bet probably would have to let Ty go sicko mode on him. Because I have a feeling Ty would be able to hold his own, just like, you know, just casually use his wolf jaws and just clamp down onto Sal's neck, because at that point it's self-defense. At that point, it's self-defense. The courts might not see it that way, but yeah. The fuck? I zoned out as they continued to talk. The bread in my hands was soft, and while it was only a single slice, my body was torn between eating it for sustenance versus throwing up from the pit of my stomach. Trembling, I devoured it. I figured that forcing it down fast was better than thinking about it too much. Still, I felt slightly worse once it was gone. What? Just let him magical girl his way. Just let him woof woof bark bark magical girl. Just let him magical girl his way to victory. Looking to Ty, he gave me a nod and wandered over to the coffee machine. Well, I think it's as good a time as any to talk about a plan, right? Maybe. What is there to even do? The first thing is securing a way out, right? Landslide is going to get in the way of that. So, checking out that is one thing we need to do today, huh? What about Thal? Shouldn't we ask him about what happened? You can for all I care. Dave, you ain't going near him. Why not? It's, You're not going near him. He can do what he wants. But I kind of get why you say that. It's dangerous, right? We don't have enough to go off of. Who knows what could even happen if we went and talked to him. No telling where he even went, right? I guess that's true. He went out the front door and I haven't seen him since. If he's planning on coming back, then chances are he'll get hungry at some point. We can lock him in the freezer or something until the cops arrive if we have to. The freezer? Yeah. I think that might do a bit more than just detaining him. We'd be better off, I don't know, isolating him somewhere else? Don't care. As long as he's out of the way, it's fine by me. Okay, landslide, Sal, but what about, I gestured behind me, hoping the others would clue in. Shit, yeah, can't just leave them like that, huh? Glad to know I wasn't the only one considering that. Not being able to get in contact with the police or an ambulance makes dealing with it harder. Burial without too, I'm guessing. Of course, I'm not just going to leave them here. No one's leaving anyone behind, Dave. But we gotta do something about them, right? Well, we all looked to Orlando, who seemed to be considering something. If there are no other options, we might be able to keep them in the freezer, right? Are you fucking serious? I guess it makes sense, but is that I don't know, proper? All things considered, I think that's the best option we have, right? What, you're planning on bagging them up and keeping them there to stay fresh? Kinda, yeah, it works for me, and if I'm being honest, it's not the first time this has come up. The fuck do you mean this isn't the first time? You see a lot in my family's line of work, Tyson. You learn to, or you witness, Hoff help? I can make a guess if that's what you're looking for. Oh, I know why. Right, but, I guess there's no avoiding it now. My family, the Noble family, are an organized crime syndicate with me being the heir. So, when it comes to dealing with bodies, while not me or my parents or grandparents, someone had to deal with them, and you learn. I'm sorry, Orlando. It's alright. If anything, that's just one small upside to what's happening right now. Ty sighed out, rubbing his face. Fine, so there's that. We have a plan for those two. But I ain't moving them if I don't have to. I'm checking out the landslide first to see if there's a way out. So when we're done here, let's head on down. We have to walk down there again? Well, I'm not going down there alone. Fuck if I'm going to leave Dave alone with any of you either. Excuse me? What, you really expect me to spell it out for you after what we saw last night? Far as I know, either of you could be looking to do Dave in next. He's our friend too, why would we want to kill him? Yeah, reckon you could have said the same about Sal. Okay, it's fine. Let's just all just go down together. That'd be fine, right? I suppose sticking together would be the safest option. Right. I looked between the others, feeling tense. Tyson was being protective, which was nice in that it put me at ease, but at the same time he was starting to frighten me a little. Well, I guess we better go, huh? Ty didn't give us much time to get ready, instead leading us forward towards the main road. The way forward was familiar from having trekked it during the night, but something about it being the middle of the day made it feel safer. Come on, keep walking. He'd occasionally grab me by the hand or give me a tug to hurry me along. He was stressed, maybe worried, and his scowl was just putting on a brave face. Not much farther, at least I think so. We had been walking for a while, and I remembered how long the driveway was from the main road in the front of the house. We passed the spot I'd stopped to rest my own walk ages ago, but the path seems to continue on. So, what's the plan when we get to the main road? I guess call for help, see what's happened? Right, I've been checking my phone occasionally until I see we have reception again. So far, nothing. Is that normal? I mean, we're on a mountain, right? Tyson slowed down, huffing and grumbling out an answer. Something like that. Bus drove up the mountain to get here, but fuck if I know which one or where. Don't worry, I've got that sorted. Doesn't mean much if I can't contact anyone, though. Is that likely? Well, it's strange that I'm getting no reception whatsoever. Sometimes it can be a bit spotty the further away from civilization you get, but we shouldn't be that far out from the city for it to matter that much. Do you think someone's messing with it somehow? What do you mean? Hang on. Just gonna take a minute. You can't mess with that kind of shit, can you? You can, but question would be why. Okay, thank you, Amethyst. Thank you for moderating. But no, this is fucking terrifying. Why would you even know about that, Hoss? Speaking from experience, it's more difficult unless you really go all in. There's no reason to do that here, right? Oh no. Not unless... Not unless what? What if it was to assassinate me? What did you do? Nothing, honest! Is this because of your family? I mean, it makes sense, right? This is the perfect spot for getting rid of me, given we're helpless and alone. Tyson roughly grabbed Orlando and shook him. Let me make two things real clear. First is, if this is all because of you, I'm ditching you the first chance I get and taking everyone else with me. Die alone and leave us out of it. Tyson! You shut the fuck up now, Dave! I'm not talking to you right now. He turned back to Orlando, spittle flying from his mouth. Second, and listen real closely. If you think Dean and Roswell died in some fucked up attempt to kill you, get over yourself. Roughly, he threw Orlando back into Hoss and turned to march off. Didn't even bother to drag me along with him. Orlando was a mess, trembling and bawling as he tried to stay standing on his own 2 feet. Hoss glared daggers into Tyson's back for a few moments before consoling Orlando with something he barely whispered to him. Whatever it was, it seemed to do the trick. Looking to Tyler, he looked tense, marching forward with his arms almost completely rigid with his fist clenched tight. Fuck. Yeah. Tyson is too far gone. I'm just going to put a save there. Right. Orlando! Baby! Baby girl! Orlando, baby girl! Ty would likely be fine on his own, right? He was tough, and if I was being honest, he looked ready to punch someone. Orlando, are you okay? Come on, Dave. Does he look okay to you? I only wanted... I shrank into my shoulders. Looking between Orlando and Hoss, I knew what it was like to be on the receiving end of Tyson's jabs. Sorry. Just be more mindful. But hell does that guy have problems? Orlando wiped his face with the back of his arm, looking further down the road. He looked as well, noticing that Tyson had moved on ahead and out of sight. Should we go after him? He can fuck off and do his own thing. Hearing Haas swear made my ears sting. It was a rarity, but the way he delivered it had a tinge of malice that rarely made its way known. Harsh as it may be, if he wants to wander off when we should be sticking together, then that's on him. And to be frank, if he's going to make a show of not letting you out of his sight and bail, Dave, where does that leave us? As in, you and Orlando? No, I mean all of us. He's unhinged, maybe as much as... He looked to Orlando quickly before turning back to me, sighing out. Well, you know who I'm talking about. I nodded slowly, not exactly knowing for sure at first, but the pieces fell into place pretty quick upon seeing him gesture at Orlando with his head. Okay, what do we do now? Do we head back? Do we stay here? It's a tough call. Well, if we headed back now, it'd be safer, right? You sure about that? If I'm being honest, not entirely. But if Thal left, then he'd probably be looking for somewhere to either hide or someone to help. Which, if the way out is the main road and Tyson also headed that way... I felt my breath catch in my chest, quickly looking down the road in the direction that Tyson went. But that could mean Tyson's in danger! While I feel like he's not helping, behaving the way he is, and is over what's happened, I don't want to see him turn up dead either. So at the very least, I think we should hold off on going back for now. If I got to vote, I'd be wanting to follow Tyson. No surprise there. Well, we have to stick together regardless, and I get the feeling that you're not just going to abandon him. Sorry, but if Sal ended up going this way, then plus the road and... I know. Well, let's get going. We can figure it out as we go. Chances are he stormed off ahead without stopping, so we should probably catch up. Together we set off down the driveway towards the main road, following in the direction Tyson went. Eventually the trees started to clear and we were at the main road. As we stepped out from the driveway, it opened up, the surrounding mountains rising and falling around us. We were high up, with the far edge of the road ending in a sheer cliff. Whoa! I wandered around a little, seeing it all for the first time. It was a shame I'd missed this on the drive to get here, but still. Tyson was off looking at a large pile of rubble obstructing the road. Haas went to join him, leaving me with Orlando. It looks bad, huh? Nodding, I looked past Orlando to the rubble. It was in huge chunks, having not only blocked the path, but also taking huge chunks out of the road, too. Do you think help will be able to arrive? Maybe. I guess we'll just have to see what Haas and Tyson find, huh? They were already making their way over, Haas in particular looking grim. This can't be right. Dave, you have your phone on you, right? Can you see if you're getting any signal? I fished my phone out of my pocket and checked it. Low battery, but it was clear that it didn't have any signal either. But why? Well, that sucks. The road is fucked, too. A landslide busted the road up, so climbing over looks like it'd be a sure way to fall to your death. But that would mean... we're trapped? Really? Is there no other way off the mountain? Ty seemed to think on it, but his expression quickly turned grim. Unless there's a way through the forest, we're stuck. Really? But where? How would we know which way to go? Does it look like I know? But we can probably safely guess that Sal didn't come this way either. Right, he'd get stuck here too, huh? But does that mean he ran into the forest? Sal. Okay, so things might be looking bad, but at least we have some things going right. We have shelter, food, so necessities are set. Sure, but that doesn't... I trailed off and Ty threw an arm over my shoulder. We can make do. I'll keep you safe, Dave. That made me feel better, but I caught Orlando looking anxious. Also looking for the same sort of reassurance. When it became clear that Tyson wasn't going to offer the same towards him, he looked to Haas. We'll be fine, right? Huh? Alright, yeah, if we stick together, we'll be alright. Let's take a look. Alrighty. Hang on, let me zoom back forward because, like, I grew up and I guess currently live in a sort of similar environment to this. Like, this sort of road, I grew up around. I grew up around that sort of road. So, based on what I'm seeing, our best bet would be, and this is going to sound crackheadish, But quite frankly, it's probably their best bet is try to climb down. I've done a lot of crazy shit. And, actually, maybe not, because that just goes straight down. If they were over here, like over here, then they'd just be able to scuttlebutt down. Might take like half an hour or so, but wouldn't take too long. But no, they're fucked. They are fucked. We started to head back to the house with Tyson leading the way. He wasn't pulling me forward by the hand anymore, but I stuck close anyway. It's too rough to go down. Yeah. Orlando and Haas pulled up the rear, with Orlando lagging further behind. Every time I looked back to check on him, he seemed dejected, tired from everything that was happening. Oof. I can't make that sound. I can't make the Roblox death oof. The house was quiet when we arrived here for the first time. We looked upon the house with awe. Excited to be here, but now... Well, we're back. Do you think Sal's around here somewhere? Fucker probably has holed up somewhere if he isn't still in the woods. Doesn't matter all that much. Does that mean the only thing left to do is go inside? I guess so, huh? Well, I want to go find Sal. Probably better that someone keeps tabs on if he moves, right? Reckon you'll be alright by yourself? Should be fine. Not that I have much of an option, but knowing where he is at least gives us an informed position in case anything goes wrong. What about you, Tyson? I don't fucking know. I need to get my head straight about everything. Might go find a weapon or something. Isn't that a little extreme? Not going to be caught without one in case something else comes up. I felt him look my way and I quickly looked to the ground. I was flattered, but hearing him so resolved that it was a potential thing that could happen again started to get to me. Fine. Good luck finding one, I guess. Ty headed inside after grunting once in reply. Alright, I guess I'll head around the house and meet up with you guys later, right? You two going to be okay for a bit? I think so. I was eyeing the door, already knowing what I was keen on doing. We'll be fine, I think. With a nod, Haas turned to leave, watching Orlando carefully. Then he disappeared around the side of the house and out of sight. Wait. Was Dean Amethyst's baby, or was it Roswell? It was either Dean or Roswell. I think it was Dean. And he disappeared around the side of the house and out of sight. Oh, okay. That left Orlando and I just standing before the front door, stealing glances at one another. You want to see them, huh? Is it that obvious? Of course it is. You have a lot of love for them, so it's only natural. But you don't think I should? It's not that. I'm just concerned that you'll be stuck there and I won't be able to move you. I just want the closure, I think. I want a chance to say goodbye. While the words that came out of my mouth felt hollow, what I felt in my chest was more so. I lied to his face about how I was feeling, and he knew it too. Still, he didn't say anything. He just nodded before the two of us went inside. Orlando and I crossed the threshold into the foyer, and I sighed out. The smell of blood still lingered in the air. Nowhere near as strong, but it was a reminder of what had happened the night before. Not that we needed it, given the red smear still on the tiles. It was dry as far as I could tell, but cleaning it still wasn't something I was keen on doing. Together we paused as we got closer, my eyes following it into the adjoining room. Taking Orlando's hand in mine, we entered the sitting room. The scent of blood was thick in the air, strong enough to blot out anything else. Carefully I stepped forward. I knew where I was heading mostly on smell alone, even if I couldn't see both of them placed on their back on the floor, or even by the trail of blood that had been left in their wake as they'd been dragged to their resting places. Orlando followed behind, and the two of us stopped next to Roswell first. Between the two of them, he was the one placed closer to the door, but making that walk felt like I'd walked a mile to reach him from where I'd entered the room. Roswell. I looked down to his face, and if it wasn't for the large wound in his neck and shoulder, he'd look like he was sleeping. Maybe sick, maybe a little cold, but definitely in need of a bath. Dave, are you okay? Sitting down next to Roswell, I crossed my legs, croaking out a reply. I'm fine. The smell of his blood was sickening, making my stomach churn. I was surprising myself by how well I was coping from not losing my breakfast then and there, seeing the combination of wound and the smell. Orlando sat down next to me and kept to himself for a bit longer while I tried to decide if I wanted to check Roswell's pulse. I know I wouldn't get anything, but there was some part of me that hoped in some way he would still be alive. You know my favorite memory of Rothwell? I remember one time he called Hoth out for not liking something I made. Made cookies, I think. But he made it a huge lecture on snack foods until Hoth had to bribe him with candy to make him stop talking. That's your favorite memory of Roswell? I think so. It was just very him, right? That he'd use his intelligence to both defend something important to me, but also to trick someone else into giving him something he wanted. But I don't think it ever came from a bad place, right? He'd always toe that line before taking it too far, but he always meant well. I nodded slowly, thinking it over. I think my favorite memory of Roswell was the day we met. It was the first day we met. It happened so long ago and we were both so young, but if that never happened, we would have never become friends. I don't think that, Dave. I'm sure you would have crossed paths at some point, right? You were neighbors. Maybe, but that day's still special to me. Stealing another look at Roswell, I cracked a smile, if a weak one. Thank you for that day, Roswell. Hang on, I'm going to hydrate real quick. Hydration. Your happiest memory of Roswell is when he died. Oh shit. Don't disrespect the dead, people.
Emotional damage.
But I assume you all don't care because you're just going to disrespect Roswell's death anyways. Getting up, I wandered over to Dean and sat down the same way. Noticed Orlando hesitated for a moment, but he came and joined me in the same way he did before. I knew Dean pretty well, I think. Better than I did, that's for sure. I nodded slowly, reaching out and touching his arm. Maybe it was just that he was larger in stature than Roswell, but his injury didn't seem nearly as bad. He was a good friend. Confusing sometimes, but a good friend. Confusing how? I don't know. I think it was like I sighed out, running a hand through my fur. Tyson and I went out every now and again for like a road trip or something to get me out of the house, right? But Dean probably did that more. Really? But then, about you two dating? Flashing him a smile, I looked back to Dean. Dean always kept saying it wasn't a date because of one thing or another. Either something went wrong, or that it didn't go exactly how he'd pictured it, or something else came along, or someone else came along too. But if I'm being honest, part of me thinks they were. Maybe not all of them, but enough to make me wonder if we'd been dating and I'd just been too dumb to realize it. Really? I would have thought that if it came to something like that, he'd be more, I don't know, forward? Yeah, maybe. I clenched my fists as they rested in my lap. I felt stupid and now I'd never know the answer because of what happened. Hey, Orlando, I'm sorry to ask this, but, the words were hard and I found myself choking them out on the verge of tears from where I'd worked myself up to. What is it? Can I have a couple moments alone with them for just a second? It won't be long, he stood, hands twitching in uncertainty. Okay, I'll just wait outside. If anything happens, The sentiment trailed off there, placed instead by an affirming nod as he wandered towards the door. Take as long as you need, okay? Orlando closed the door to the room, and no sooner had it closed I heard him sobbing, collapsing against the wall just outside the door. But then something in me snapped, something that clicked into place suddenly that made all of my sadness ease off all at once. This wasn't my fault. None of this was my fault. There was a spot on the floor that had started to focus on as my mind started to wander. It wasn't my fault. My hands flexed, tensing and relaxing as a new feeling started to replace the sadness as I remained in that room. Sal's fault. It was Sal. My fists clenched soon after my jaw followed, then the growling, the frown next. Sal took them away. Sal killed them. Stepping out of the room, I closed the door behind me. Maybe it was the smell of blood, but I was in a daze, focusing it on the sole thing that seemed to be the problem. Sorry, Dave, I'll be okay. Ugh. He'd resorted to wiping his face with the bottom of his shirt, and he stood to face me. Dave? What's wrong? You're growling. I looked through him towards the rest of the house, wondering if I could pick up Sal's scent somewhere to see where he could have gone, given he wasn't at the main road. No telling if he was even here, but if he was, I'd find him. Orlando grabbed me roughly and shook me by the shoulders. Dave, snap out of it. What happened? Sal. Thal? What about Thal? I thought it over in my head. There was a solution, a permanent one, and at the moment I was blinded to all other possibilities and all sense of reason. I'm going to kill him. You can't! His grip on me tightened as if trying to stop me from trying. I'm not going to let you make that mistake. I'm not going to let you put yourself in that sort of danger. He killed 2 of our friends, Orlando. He killed them. I know. But think about what you're saying. I'm just as upset as you. Maybe you're more upset than me, but still. I'm not about to resort to killing someone over this. Trust me. Please. He pulled me in quickly in a hug, rubbing my back. I'm so sorry, Dave, but this isn't going to make you feel better. This isn't what you want. Amidst the growling, I spat my reply in a cold tone, one that I'd only ever seen a couple of times from other people, none of which good. You don't know what I fucking want. I shoved him away, my heart racing and breathing in deep. Dave, please. Once he's dead. Once it's done, then. Then what? The question made me pause. If you kill Thal or try to anyway, what happens if you get killed instead? I looked to Orlando, waiting to see if he had any follow-up. And if you died, I'd be sad, but imagine what Tyson would do. He'd try killing Thal and either go to jail or die to Thal as well. My heart sank, resolve crippled but not dead. Killing just creates more killing. It creates more sadness, Dave. I've seen so much of it in my family, it always ends up this way. I want a life free of that. I want to be a beggar, someone so far removed from bloodshed that I never have to consider running into it. Then what, Orlando? What do you expect me to do? He gulped, unsure of where to put his hands once they'd been removed from me entirely. His reply came as a timid whisper, eyes darting to the floor. I don't know. How the hell is biting someone in a violent way a sex-based term? Wow. I don't know. But please, maybe just try talking with him? You want me to talk with him? Yes, I do. I get that you're hurting, we're all hurting, but if you have any respect for me, or even for the friendship you had with Sal, you'd at least talk with him first before deciding to execute him yourself. He's not my friend after what he did. Do you really think that, Dave? Do you really think that Sal, would have just done that without a reason? I gritted my teeth, fighting desperately to stay mad. But I broke, sighing out, and the madness faded away to a dull throb. Fine. I'll talk to him first. Thank you. But if he admits to having done it on purpose, I don't know what I'll do. Hopefully it won't come to that. I'm going to start by searching the pool. I think Haas would have checked there first, given that's where he spent a lot of time. If he's not there, I'll come back inside after checking the greenhouse. Okay, just be careful, okay? I'll stay here, I think. But maybe hope Haas stops by so I can stay close to someone. No offense, but I don't feel like confronting Thal right now. I looked away from him towards the back door. He took the chance to take my hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. Be careful. I will. It's early, but we're going to leave off here tonight. Hang on. Organizing my saves real quick. I can delete that one. And... wait. To the title. Ah! Fuck. Anyways, stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.